Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade J.J. Williams, and today we're going to finish up the original timeline of the Nightmare on Elm Street saga. Remember, we're not doing Freddy vs. Jason yet because we haven't covered the Friday the 13th series. So, the last one in the original timeline, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, starring Robert Englund, Heather Langencamp, Miko Hughes, John Saxo, Tracy Middendorf, David Newsom, and Wes Craven. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, today we're going to finish up the original timeline for Freddy Krueger and A Nightmare on Elm Street as we discuss Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And as our movie opens, Heather Langencamp lives in Los Angeles, California with her husband Chase and their young son Dylan. She is constantly recognized for her role as Nancy Thompson from the A Nightmare on Elm Street series, before focusing her career onto television. One night, she has a nightmare that her family is attacked by a set of animated Freddy Krueger claws from an upcoming nightmare film, where two workers are brutally killed on the set. Waking up to an earthquake, she notices a cut on Chase's finger that is exactly like the one he had received in her dream, but she quickly dismisses the notion that it was caused by the claws. Heather begins to receive phone calls from an obsessed fan who quotes Freddy Krueger's nursery rhyme to her in an eerie, Freddy-like voice. This just happens to coincide with a meeting that she has with New Line Cinema, where she is pitched the idea of reprising her role as Nancy, which, unbeknownst to her, Chase has been working on. She returns home from the media pitch and finds Dylan watching the original film on television. Nancy interrupts him, and Dylan has a severely traumatizing episode where he screams at her. The frequent calls and Dylan's strange behavior cause Heather to call Chase. He agrees to rush home from his workplace in Palm Springs, as the two men from her dream did not report to work. Chase falls asleep while driving and ends up being slashed by Freddy's claw and dies. Now, Chase's death seems to affect Dylan even further, which concerns Heather's longtime friend and former co-star, John Saxo. Now, John suggests that Heather seek medical attention for Dylan as well as for herself after she has a nightmare at Chase's funeral in which Freddy attempts to take Dylan. As Dylan's health continues to deteriorate, he becomes increasingly paranoid about going to sleep and begins to fear Freddy Krueger, even though Heather has never shown Dylan her films. Heather goes and visits Wes Craven, the creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and he admits to having precognitive nightmares that the films captured as an ancient supernatural entity. The entity was freed after the film series ended with the release of Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. In the guise of Freddy, it now focuses on its primary foe, Heather, as Nancy, as by killing her, it will be allowed to enter the real world. Now, Robert Englund, who played Freddy in the films, also has a strange knowledge of this entity, describing the new Freddy to Heather and then disappearing from all contact shortly thereafter. Following another earthquake, Heather takes a traumatized Dylan to the hospital, where Dr. Hefner, suspecting abuse, suggests that he remain there under observation. Heather returns home to get Dylan's stuffed dinosaur, while his babysitter, Julie, tries unsuccessfully to keep the nurses from sedating the sleep-deprived boy. Dylan ends up falling asleep from the sedative, and Freddy kills Julie brutally in Dylan's dream. Capable of sleepwalking, Dylan leaves the hospital on his own while Heather chases him home across the interstate as Freddy taunts and dangles him before traffic. Upon returning home, Heather realizes that reality is beginning to overlap with Freddy's make-believe realm. Complete with John Saxo as Nancy's father, Officer Don Thompson. Her street, the exterior of her house, and her clothes have all transformed into Nancy's. When Heather begins to embrace Nancy's role, Freddy emerges completely into reality, abducts Dylan into his world. Heather then finds a trail of Dylan's sleeping pills and follows him to a hellish construct of Freddy's boiler room. Freddy fights off Heather and chases Dylan into a furnace. Dylan is able to escape from the furnace and doubles back to Heather, and together they push Freddy into the furnace and light it destroying both the monster and its reality. Dylan and Heather emerge from under his blankets, and Heather finds a copy of the film's events in a screenplay at the foot of the bed. Inside is written, "Thanks from Wes for defeating Freddy and playing Nancy one last time." Her victory helps to imprison the entity of the film franchise's fictitious world once more, and Dylan asks if it is a story, to which Heather agrees before opening the script and reading from its pages as our movie comes to its close. I feel like this one had a good concept and a good premise. It just got confusing towards the end, the way everything was kind of overlapping, especially if you're not paying complete attention. And I was paying attention and still got a little confused. I liked the fact that Heather Langencamp and John Saxo were back. I liked the addition of Miko Hughes, who had played Gage in Pet Sematary, and he played one of Michelle's friends on Full House. But I feel like this real world meets dream world concept that they were trying to go and engulf in this movie, I feel like it had its ups and downs. I know a lot of people feel that this is a great entry into the franchise. I'm kind of torn on it. I think it definitely had the promise and the potential, but I think that there were a few places where it really fell flat. I don't feel like Chase was in it near long enough. You know, I understand that she wanted to kill him to kind of push Dylan off the deep end a little bit, but I don't think he even lasted like 20 minutes. So I would probably have at least left him halfway through the movie and then killed him off. I would have maybe flipped when Julie died and when Chase died, because I feel like the way they kind of depict Chase as a workaholic, always away from home, I feel like Julie's death may have impacted Dylan just as much as Chase's. And then if they'd killed Julie first, then Chase has an opportunity to try to reconnect with his son. And by the time he does, he's taken away from Dylan too. I think that would have made it just a little bit better. But here we are, armchair quarterbacking, rewriting the scripts, some 20 years later almost? It is what it is at this point. Like I said, though, I didn't mind the movie. I just don't hold it as high up as I do 1, 3, 4, and 6. When it comes to my rating for this one, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. Like I said, it had potential. It had a good premise. I just feel like it fell flat. Big time. What do you guys think of Wes Craven's New Nightmare? Let me know if you're watching the premiere. Leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave those thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction in the comment box below. And make sure you guys tune in later on this evening, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel, as well as the Jeff Meacham Network and the Multiverse of Media, as we present our watch-along coverage for Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory. Pre-show begins at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. Myself, Noah Foster, James Hebert, all providing our thoughts, reactions, predictions, etc., as Impact Wrestling proudly presents its biggest show of the year, Bound for Glory. And then tomorrow, back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, is going to be another huge day for us. First, on an all-new episode of Renegades Reviews, we're going to take a look at the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, starring Jackie Earle Haley, Rooney Mara, Kyle Gallner, Katie Cassidy, Thomas Dekker, Kellen Lutz, and Connie Britton. And then at the top of the half hour after that, it'll be Rob Zombie's The Munsters, the Netflix original movie by Rob Zombie, his take on the classic sitcom The Munsters. And then later that evening, here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, as well as across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media, it'll be time once again for Open Mic Night. Again, myself, Noah Foster, James Hebert, possibly Jeff Meacham, whoever else we can wrangle into the room, discussing the latest topics for professional wrestling. Damn it! You're not going to want to miss out on any of that coverage right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, right here on Renegades Reviews, on the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media. So make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that notification bell is turned on so you're alerted anytime one of our videos drops or we go live here on the channel. Make sure you share this video with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles, fans of the Freddy Krueger saga, fans of Nightmare on Elm Street, fans of horror movies in general. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this video, this content, share the video with them. It's the only way we're going to boost up my visibility in YouTube's algorithms so I can hopefully get monetized by the end of the year. We're getting so close. 3 months left. Thank you once again to everyone who tuned in and joined me here today. It means more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.